Welcome to my True Scary Story YouTube channel. I want to welcome you all and ask that you subscribe now and comment on my newest video and introduce yourself in the comment section below. The Sinful Society is very welcoming and are some of the nicest people on YouTube. I narrate for you guys, and I want you to share your true scary stories with me so I can feature your scary story on an upcoming video. Cheers to the freshest horror content on YouTube. Make sure to email me at thesinfulsavant@gmail.com for your stories. I will leave a link to my email in the description box below as well. Sit back, relax, stay sinful. Every weekend in the summer, I go camping out on my parents' property in the country. It's actually kind of a mix between glamping and camping because I sleep in a camping trailer and at least have a kitchen and bathroom with running water, but it's old and has been on its way out for a few years now. The trailer was the beginning attempt at my parents trying to live off the grid, so my dad hooked up a natural gas line from the well that's on the property and rigged up a water tower with a filtration system that siphons from the pond next to the trailer. It was actually pretty awesome when they first got it all rolling, but the trailer itself was not a Four Seasons model, and the winters where we live are really taking their toll on the old thing. Also, the fact no one can use it in the winter makes it the perfect hideaway for mice and critters of all kinds. My point is, even though I have all the luxuries that go along with the glamping lifestyle, it's by no means glamorous. Along with the water and gas lines, my dad also got electricity to the trailer. It's not the proper way, but it works. He ran a series of extension cords about a football field's length from a utility pole near the front of the property back to the trailer. I think it was supposed to be a temporary thing, but unfortunately it worked, so he never did it right. That's how he rolls. If you've ever heard the saying Jimmy rigged, it's because of my dad, whose name is Jim. Anyway, this story took place last year toward the beginning of fall, when it was still warm during the day, but only slightly chilly at night. Perfect camping weather for me. The sun had just gone down, and I had just finished eating the grilled cheese sandwich I made myself for dinner, and had cleaned everything up. Then I realized I had nothing to do. Normally I would be sorting through some of the wild herbs or berries I had foraged during the day while I listened to a music or horror narration, but I hadn't found anything that day. For some reason my phone reception was non-existent. I dug through the bin of DVDs my parents had, found a weird one that had 10 different movies on it, and popped it in. The first movie was about a kid who got lost in the woods, stumbled upon a Sasquatch who ended up saving him. Then he has to return the favor and save the Sasquatch from hunters. Blah, blah, blah. It was cute. Definitely a B movie and geared towards kids, but I watched it. Then the second movie started. It was another grainy looking B movie, but in all honesty, it kind of scared me. It started off with a girl in a cabin at night, and she's reading a book when all of a sudden she hears crunching outside, like something is walking around. Of course she sees nothing when she gets up to look outside, but as soon as she focuses on her reflection in the window pane, there's a black figure standing behind her. You know, the classic jump scare setup. I pulled the hood of my sweatshirt on, adjusted my position on the couch, and readied myself for the scary scene. Then the power to my trailer goes out. Everything is black. There are absolutely no lights near the property, and it was an overcast night, so there was no moon. It was complete darkness. I just froze for a minute, trying to remember what would be in my path to get to where the flashlight was, and that's when I heard it. Crunch, crunch, crunch. Footsteps? My sarcastic brain was like, seriously? How much more cliche can this be? And I figured it was probably just a deer or raccoons, or my imagination because I was already freaked out. I got up and started feeling my way to the flashlight. After kicking the broom and knocking over a few unopened water bottles and making a cacophony on my own, I found the light. Before I could switch it on, there was a huge crash and massive thud outside that sounded like a tree falling just a few feet from the trailer. What the hell is going on? As I'm standing there trying not to crap myself, I mentally go through a list of rational explanations or any answers to what is happening, and I can't find one. The weather is fine and calm. I'm pretty sure there weren't any dead or dying trees nearby. Then, crunch, 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 again. This time it came from two directions. At this point, I just came to the conclusion that I was going to finally witness Bigfoot. I was probably going to get eaten immediately after, but I was going to see one, or now two, or maybe a whole gang of big feet. Who knows, maybe they're vegetarians, and will just take me and make me their queen. So, thankfully, after that small amount of time, my eyes adjusted to what little light there was, and I could see the shapes of trees starting to come into focus. I went to each of the windows to try to make out any kind of movement, or any shape that didn't belong. I saw nothing. No gap in the trees where one might have fallen. No big ape-like dude waiting for a snack. Nothing strange whatsoever. I decided to put my big girl pants on and at least try to figure out if I'd blown a fuse or something like that. I mean, I did have the fridge running, 3 overhead lights and 2 lamps on, plus the TV and DVD player going. That was a lot for just one extension cord. I flicked on the flashlight and went around turning every electrical outlet off and went back to look at the fuse box. Flipping every switch I could see, not one of them worked. I honestly didn't know what I was going to do anyway. Wishful thinking, I guess. But now I knew I was going to have to go outside if I was going to figure out this electricity thing. I might not be able to fix anything, but if I could at least tell my dad what happened, he could rig it. Luckily, there was one of those big flashlights that can also turn into a lantern, and it even had a very bright spotlight function. I grabbed it, threw on my shoes, and walked to the door, trying to be as silent as possible. I hadn't heard anything for a little while, but I wanted to make sure I could. Trying to open the door to the trailer quietly was like opening a soda can. No matter what you do, it's going to make some kind of noise, so I opted to just do it quickly. I pressed down on the handle, felt it pop free from the strike plate, and hopped out in one swift move. Then I listened. I could hear movement through the tall grass on the other side of the brush line, about 40 to 50 feet away. Very distinct swish noises like walking almost, but not quite. It sounded almost like raking leaves, but slower. My heart started racing again, because I know now there's something out there. There was no way I was going to stay out there, with at the very least trying to have a nightlight. So of course the main electrical lines was at the same side of the trailer that the noises were coming from, but I felt like whatever was making them was far enough away that I would have a good chance of making it back safely into the tin can of my trailer. I snuck back inside and grabbed my machete and a small lamp that had a plug, then made my way to where the extension cord was attached. Like a deer in the presence of a predator, I tiptoed slowly around the trailer hitch with my eyes as big as saucers and my head on a swivel. I hadn't turned the flashlight on because I didn't want to alert whatever was out there to my presence, and I had shoved it into my pocket of my hoodie with my hands being preoccupied with my machete. Because of this, I failed to see the ruts in the ground in front of me, and my next move was to step directly into one. Realizing my fatal mistake as it was happening in slow motion, my brain said, "Drop your stuff and put your hands out to soften the impact." But my body was like, "Scream, oh shit, and throw your machete at the trailer." So I did, and when I landed it hurt, but I sat there for a second, straining my ears to hear the swish swish, but there was nothing. Silence. Just the sound of my deafening heartbeat and crickets. Maybe I scared it away with my scream or the thud clang noise of the machete. I decided to finally pick myself up and gather my things, and to just go about my business. I've been coming here for years. Nothing too crazy has ever happened. As I stood up, I took out my flashlight and turned it on. Then from where the swishing noises were, came a crazy crunch, swish, crash type of noise, like something was booking it through the brush, then splash into the pond. What the holy hell is that? As this commotion was going on, I noticed similar noises coming from another direction. They have me surrounded, I thought to myself, but they don't like lights. Now I knew I had to get the electricity figured out. So I switched the flashlight to the lantern setting, gathered up the stuff I had thrown, and got over to the extension cord. I unplugged it from the trailer, plugged the lamp into the cord. Nothing. Okay, so I know the problem isn't the trailer, it's somewhere else. Meanwhile, I hadn't heard any more noises, so I was becoming more confident that I would get through this, and I could handle the situation. I plugged in the extension cord in the trailer, followed the cord to the next one. I unplugged it and did the same thing as the first one by testing it with the lamp. Nothing with this one either. As I followed this extension cord, I saw it led me into the brush, right where the noises were. Crap. Between my own crunch, crash, swish noises, I paused to listen for any other twig snapping or water splashing, but heard nothing. Until I did. Something wading through the water, gentle sloshing sounds heading in this direction. I turned the lantern to the spotlight mode, scanned what I could see of the pond. There were ripples, but I couldn't see past the tall brush to make out what exactly was making the sound. Starting to panic again, I focused back on finding the other end of the cord and trapezed through the brushes and brambles till I saw the end of the cord, not plugged in. That's why I had no power. The Sasquatch must have unplugged me, but now I had to find the beginning of the next cord, plug that into this cord, which would be difficult in the daytime, let alone at night while you're being stalked by large hairy ape men. I could still hear the sloshing noises. Although they were getting close, I knew the direction of where it was and had enough distance from them to continue my efforts. So I am entangled in blackberry thorns, aiming my spotlight around the ground where the next cord end should be, when I hear twigs snapping and crunching. Instantly I know whatever it is has made it onto land, and I only have about 40 feet between us now. Heartbeat pounding, palms sweating, I shakily aimed the spotlight over to the area of the sounds, terrified at what I might see, and there it was. A man, standing there in all black, with a smile on his face, wading through the water. My only instinct in that moment was to run, and run for my life. I made my way back to the trailer, locked myself in, tried to find the keys to my car. And all that time, the man approached my trailer, started banging on the windows, screaming that he was going to kill me. I search for my very life, and I find my car keys. I run out through the front door with machete in hand, make it to my car, just as the man tries to open up my driver's door. I speed out of there and leave all my gear behind. So much for a camping trip. One night, around 3 a.m., I was dead asleep with my ex-boyfriend next to me. All of a sudden I hear someone in my house asking if anyone was home. I woke up my ex, told him to go see what the hell was going on. He was a total chicken shit and made me go. I get out of bed, can't find my glasses, but the guy is still shouting. I come out of my bedroom in my PJs and see that there is a big bald man in what looks to be a police uniform standing in my entryway. I'm squinting trying to get a good look at him, and he looks at me and says, "I just wanted to tell you that your door was left unlocked and you should lock it." I mumble something to the effect of, thanks, and he leaves my apartment. I'm still as blind as a bat, but I could see that he walks away instead of getting into a car. No policeman would be policing the woodsy area I live in on foot. The next day I called the local police station, asked if any officers had reported this incident, and they said they would check with one of the on-duty officers and then get back to me. They called me the next day and said no one they know of was on duty that night. I still get freaked out when I think about this happening, and I wish I knew what that guy was really up to. Thank you guys for watching and listening. Please be sure to leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel for more videos. Email your true scary stories to thesinfulsavant@gmail.com. The link to the email is in the description box below as well. Until we meet again, stay sinful.